Hi, my name is Andrea Pena, and I'm going to be presenting on gait development across the lifespan. So, the definition of gait is the pattern of movement of the limbs during locomotion. Gait patterns include walking, running, galloping, skipping, and hopping. There are different stages of development, and gait can change and fluctuate throughout these stages. Um, These stages include early childhood development, childhood, adulthood, and older adulthood. Um, Gait can be changed and can fluctuate depending on rate limiters. Some rate limiters that can affect gait include balance, muscle strength, coordination, mobility, any type of injuries. Age can be a rate limiter. Also, the environment that you're in, and any sort of neurological disorders or disabilities or even diseases can affect gait. Um, so in my presentation right now, unfortunately, I cannot click on the YouTube video, but I have included the presentation separately so that it can be viewed. But just to pretend like we saw the video, in early childhood, in this video that I have observed, the toddler presents a narrow base of support, um, which is actually very good for a child. Normally, a toddler or a younger infant will portray a wider base of support to help promote better balance. But in this video, the toddler has a narrow base of support. The toddler does keep their arms higher, which also promotes balance, helps kind of regulate a little bit more balance and stability. The arms do move irregularly, so there's no oppositional arm swing with movement of the legs, so they kind of move a little bit more sporadically. The toddler does exhibit a short stride that is in conjunction with the toddler having short limbs. They also exhibit a heel then forefoot walking pattern throughout initial stance all the way through terminal stance. They do exhibit that they lean forward throughout the gait analysis as well. This could be just because they have poor posture, lack of muscle stability or core stability, and they also show no full extension or flexion of the knee. This could be because of lack of joint mobility and just poor muscle strength because they are young, because they're a toddler. Okay. So in early childhood, some physical constraints could be lack of muscular strength, lack of coordination, muscular or bone deformities, and some perceptual constraints could be lack of postural control or balance, which was exhibited before when the toddler was leaning forward, visual perception or depth perception, body awareness, and auditory sensation. Some common gait abnormalities during early childhood would be walking flat-footed or walking with the toes pointing out or in, being unstable, unbalanced, or clumsy as the toddler portrayed. In childhood, in the video that I've included, the child shows a narrow base of support as well. She does have uncoordinated arm swing and leg movement as well. She has a short stride length due to her short legs, and she actually doesn't walk heel then forefoot. She tends to remain plantar flexed in her ankle, which means that she's basically walking on her tippy toes the entire time. She's unstable. She shows a little bit of instability when she's walking, a little uncoordinated or clumsy, and she also has poor range of motion in her pelvis and her knees, which basically leads to poor mobility and the shorter stride length as well. In childhood, some common gait abnormalities, one of which she portrayed was walking on tippy toes. Some other children also walk flat-footed. Locking of the knees during the initial and terminal stance are also some common gait abnormalities, and leaning forward as well. Some physical constraints would be muscle tightness. That can actually contribute to tippy toe walking. There's muscle tightness in the soleus muscle, the calf muscle. Then the foot is unable to basically dorsiflex, and there's more plantar flexion with that. Also, lack of coordination, lack of mobility, again, bone and muscle deformities, any type of neurological issues, and pain. Some perceptual constraints would be vision, auditory issues, proprioceptive issues, any type of sensory disorders. So some kids have issues with sensations with their feet, feeling certain different textures or surfaces could be an issue, and then also any type of mental disorders. In adulthood, in the video that I've included, the adult portrays a narrow base of support. She has a long stride length due to longer limbs. She does walk in a heel and forefoot walking pattern, and she also has a coordinated opposite arm and leg movement. She keeps her arms extended at the side of her body, so she doesn't keep her arms up to balance because she doesn't need it. She has a strong core, and she has stronger muscles within her limbs. She's able to portray a full range of motion of the limbs, and she maintains a proper upright position while walking. In adulthood, some common gait abnormalities would be unable to maintain an upright position. This could be due to a lot of things, including maybe walking in like a hunchback position, because as a society we tend to lean a little bit forward, especially when we're on our electronics, but just keeping that position forward can basically lead into improper gait. Walking with a limp, that could be due to injuries. Walking with your toes out or in, pigeon-toed, or having your toes out. Lack of pelvic knee extension and flexion. Some physical constraints would be any type of injuries that can just be prolonged injuries that affect gait. Lack of mobility due to not participating in physical activities. Physical disabilities, and weak muscles. And some perceptual constraints would be visual impairments, vestibular issues, and auditory issues. In the video that I've attached, this elderly woman portrays a narrow base of support. She has very little to no hip and knee mobility throughout initial all the way through terminal stance. Her stride length is very short and is shuffled. She does not portray any heel and forefoot walking. Instead, it's pretty much just a shuffled walk. Little to no hip or pelvic or knee extension or flexion. She also leans forward while walking. She kind of has that improper hunch forward as well. And There's inconsistent opposite arm leg movement coordination. So initially, it looks like she's having that arm swing with one arm while the other arm is holding onto her leg for balance. And then she eventually uses a little bit of opposite arm leg movement coordination. In older adulthood, some common gait abnormalities would be being unable to maintain an upright position. Um, this could be due to lack of core strength or just improper posture over time. Having little to no extension or flexion of joints, limping, shuffle walking, having short stride lengths, little pelvic rotation, having your toes point out a bit more, and being slower when you walk. Some physical constraints that contribute to that would be having muscle loss in your elderly years, having injuries, diseases, having lack of mobility, lack of strength, and bone loss. Some perceptual constraints would be visual auditory impairment. This happens with older age and can affect the way that you can basically lose any type of visual. You can basically have lack of, your vision basically, which can contribute to improper gait or just affect your gait in general. Vestibular issues, which can lead to lack of balance. Having the fear of falling can really affect gait, which will cause them not to maybe want to walk properly. Having proprioceptive, a decline in proprioceptiveness and cognitive decline, and also balance issues, as mentioned before. And these are my references that I used for the presentation, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.